There's a lawyer with 30 years of experience who walks into the federal courtroom in New York. He has his brief in which there are 6 rock solid citations which proves that his client is innocent. But there's a problem here. None of them exist, not even one. They have been invented by AI chatbot, word by word, citation by citation. And here's a place where we should all pause and think. The lawyer actually asked the AI chatbot, "Are these real?" And AI looked him up in the eye and said yes. Just imagine. So this was 2023. So we all have laughed. We said, okay, rookie problem. It won't happen again. But now it's 2026. And 2 lawyers got fined for putting up 23 fake citations for an amount of $110,000. This was the largest fine ever in the American legal system. The fine was not for the machine, the fine was for the humans. But now AI is entering everywhere, in the legal system, in the government, in the courtrooms, and in the legal corridors. AI is not knocking at the door. AI is already inside. It's reading up cases, it's translating judgments, it's finding out who should get the loan or the pension and who should get the bail also. But still there is one question. Who is holding the pen which signs the verdict? So let's start with the India story. So we now have to know, why is AI being invited to do the legal work? Because the size of the problem is too big. There are 5 crore pending cases. 5 crore, and 85% of that are still in district court. They are the court closer to us, people like you and me. So there's a farmer fighting over a piece of land, there's a widow waiting for a pension, then there's a shopkeeper who's waiting for the money someone owed to him. So all of them are going to wait and wait, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. By the time the verdict come out, sometime the applicant has expired only. So we need to hurry up the cases. That's why we get in AI. AI doesn't do the deciding. AI does the digging, the reading, the searching, all the manual jobs. The deciding is done by the judges. The first one is Supays. So he is the assistant. The judge has a very fat file which he might not be able to read. Supays goes and reads it, puts the precedents forward, makes a proper outline. And next day when the judge appears, his desk is clean with just a summary of the case. So this really helps the judge to hasten up the thing. The next assistant is Subhas. India has many languages. So mostly all the cases are in English. Subhas converts it into Hindi and 18 other languages. And now Subhas has been aligned to Hasini, which is a national translation system. So now everybody gets their case in their mother tongue. And then there are more like Terrace, Leg RAA, Adalat AI, and more. So India made a big workforce. Now let's go to the other part of the world. Estonia has a robot judge for small claims. So America has an algorithm called Compass which sees how often can the person re-offend. But India is not doing all that. India is making 1-1 AI for 1-1 job. So they are the assistants. The main one is a human being who chairs everything. Besides that, India has done compartmentalized. So in that, there are like 1-1 job assigned to 1-1 AI and not like put it all in a big black box whom you cannot question ever. But let's go back to the lawyer and his 6 imaginary cases. Why did this even happen? How did AI make it out of thin air and then convincingly said, yes, it's real? AI has no idea what is it doing. When you ask it to give a case, it just pulls out something from the thin air and it makes it into a proper content. It produces something which looks exactly like a real citation. It's not lying to deceive us. It's just filling in the blanks. So that's why it gives something imaginary, not even knowing that it's doing something wrong. And the system has noticed. In March 2026, the Indian Supreme Court said that they will not accept AI generated citation. That will be called misconduct. In US, 25 federal courts have refused to take AI filing. If that old data is unfair to certain people, AI scales it up to another level. And then our constitution promises equality and fairness. But AI has its own mind. It makes the things opposite without anybody realizing it. In February 2026, India hosted the India AI Impact Summit. Hundreds of countries came to New Delhi. India did a smart thing. It unveiled its AI governance policy just before that. And here's the clever part. India did not rush out one giant, heavy AI law that would scare away every startup and freeze innovation. Instead, it chose a smart path. Take the law we already have, the IT Act, the new Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the data protection law, the consumer protection law, and stretch them to cover AI. Adapt, not strangle. The whole framework rests on 7 principles. They call them the 7 sutras. But underneath all 7 sits one simple ancient idea. And to make sure this isn't just words on paper, in April 2026, India set up the AIGEG, the AI Governance and Economic Group, its first top-level body, bringing ministries together to actually steer this. Principles first, then the institution to enforce them. Now look at how the world is split. Europe went strict, a single tough law that ranks AI by risk and punishes the dangerous stuff hard. America went hands-off, no big federal law at all, just a patchwork of states. India is trying to walk the line down the middle, light enough to let innovation breathe, firm enough to keep people safe, sandboxes to experiment, guardrails so no one gets hurt. And India is openly positioning itself as a voice for the global south, for the countries that build the rules after the rich nations already wrote theirs. But let's be honest, this is unfinished. The very data protection law these guidelines lean on is itself being challenged in the Supreme Court over privacy concerns. The rules for the rule makers are still being written even as the machines keep working. So where does this leave us? AI in law and governance isn't some far-off science fiction. It's a clerk, a translator, a researcher, already sitting in our courts and our ministries right now in 2026. Used well, it could melt away that mountain of pending cases and finally put justice into your mother tongue. Used carelessly, it can invent reality and automate injustice on a scale no human ever could. And that lawyer we started with, the one who trusted the machine and got humiliated in open court, he forgot the oldest rule there is. A tool doesn't carry responsibility. The human holding it does. The hammer never built the house. The pen never wrote the law. And the algorithm never signs the verdict. India's bet is the right instinct. Let the machines assist, but keep a human in the chair and keep a conscience behind the human. Because in the end, the law was never really about cases and citations. It was always about people. If this made you see the courtroom a little differently, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.